So my wife confronted me this weekend um, for falling into old patterns of behavior, and she really called me out on my shit. And oh my god, I was getting defensive, but I was able to pivot and become more receptive, and it gave me an idea to talk about defensiveness. Hi, and welcome to another episode of Goodness with Dr. Manu. And if you're new to this channel, feel free to subscribe, and that way you'll keep getting more videos. Before we continue, a little dancing. So, how to work with our defensiveness? And what do I mean by defensiveness? Defensiveness, I mean that attitude of not taking in external feedback, that attitude of wanting to push it away because it doesn't conform to our internal image. So we have these ideas about ourselves, about how we're supposed to be, in this idealized version of ourselves. And it's never really accurate. It's always a fantasy in our minds. But we really hold on to that, and we try to believe and make ourselves into that. And often we're going to get confronted by, usually by our close people to us, people that love us. We're going to get confronted in some way or another as to the falseness of that, and how our behavior is not congruent with that idea, that image that we have of ourselves. So the way to work with this is to be willing to stand inside yourself, in your own dignity, with an open attitude, and letting your heart be touched by the impact. Being willing to feel how your behavior, particular behavior, has impact the other person, and being willing to let your heart hurt, because it will hurt. Because it's challenging that self-image that we have, that image of ourselves, that ideal self that we have. That's not real. And so there's two ways usually people respond to these confrontations. And one is either lash out to an attack, or the other one is you collapse and you go into shame. And the key here is to go in neither of those directions, but to actually stay planted in the floor, grounded in ourselves, being willing to meet, to adult ourselves and own the experience and hold that feedback that we're getting with openness. It's hard. Believe me, I know it. This weekend when my wife confronted me, oh, it just hurt. The more we allow ourselves to really own our experience and feel our experience as we're being confronted, the more we're actually gonna be able to mature and our image, and we're gonna be able to see through that ideal image that we have, and start accepting ourselves in a more real way, where we are in the moment. Paradoxically, when we accept ourselves in the moment as we are, chances of growth and transformation are bigger. And the impulse of our deepest self is to grow, is to transform, is to become our fullest, our full potential. But when we are caught up in these images and ideas about how we are, which are not accurate, and we hold to them tight, we are not doing ourselves a favor, because we're not letting our natural movement towards growth to happen. We're actually holding on to this idea and trying to maintain it. And we put so much effort into that. It's so freaking tiring.
Real men know how to be vulnerable.
I grew up in a culture where strongly I got that message of men don't cry, boys don't cry. You're not supposed to cry. You're supposed to be this tough, hardened, macho kind of thing. because actually real courage, real strength comes from letting myself be vulnerable, comes from surrendering to my experience enough that I actually feel those places that I don't want to feel, that I don't want to make contact with. So when we soften towards ourselves, and as I was saying before, we have that dignified attitude, but that let our hearts be open and vulnerable in the experience. Oh my goodness, it's so well. We're starting to go into unknown territory. We're going beyond our conceived ideas about who we think we are, and it can be scary. It is scary. I know it is for me. It starts getting things can get a little shaky, and but if I continue to resource in those moments and continue to ground and connect with the deeper support, not the bullshit self-images and ideas about what I'm supposed to be and all of that. No, that's not real support. The real ground underneath earthy support in my belly, and I continue to come down and grounding that no matter how shaky it's up here, it'll pass through, and I will like my capacity builds. I become stronger, bigger, more. But this strength is a soft strength. It is open strength. It's a vulnerable strength. It's beautiful because I'm not defended, so I'm willing to be with whatever experience happens. And this is a continuum. This is not an either or kind of thing. I am very defended in many ways, and there are many ways that I don't even want to go there. Ugh. And then there's other ways which I have been opening and becoming more integrated more into my fullness, into my wholeness. We need support, definitely. Having somebody, some kind of guide, some kind of teacher, some kind of therapist, helping us through this process of becoming less undefended, being willing to be with our vulnerability more, it's an important thing. Anyway, thank you all for watching, and subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet. And yeah, so you'll keep getting more videos. And again, may we have juicy, luscious, and open hearts, solid, grounded, planted, supportive bellies, and clear, open, sharp minds. Thank you.